Taehyung yelled at the top of his lungs, stepping over the album to catch Tae, but he was a second too late. He glared around the room and then at Tae at his eyes, but remained close. Inhale, he yelled when he saw the pool of blood was spreading across his head like a lava. His white carpet started as Tae's face lost all the color, and he became still as dead. He was afraid to touch him. What if he hurt thee? In a call, he screamed. His hand was trembling as he looked them close to their head. It was the sound of steps outside the room. Before Inhe entered, he screamed out in terror and moved back. Please call the ambulance, he yelled at her. She stiffed. Inhe pulled out of his room and ran downstairs. He saw her running a hand through his hair. He needed to stop the blood before he lost him. That felt him when he thought about losing his brother. Taehyung's skin had turned grey and his chest was not rising. He wasn't breathing. Come on, Tae, hang in there. He moved his piece of glass around his head from the carpet and pushed the table on which he fell. Stay with me, he mumbled and hesitantly slipped his arm under his body. When he saw more blood as he said, he let go of him and yelled. He looked at the door when he heard yells and shot outside. Then Jungkook appeared in the doorway with messed up hair. It looked like he just walked up to, and he saw Tae in own blood. His eyes wandered and he rushed toward him before kneeling down on the floor. At his side, Taehyung, he cried out, looking at he was being physically punched repeatedly. He began to expect the body with his hand and tried to holding him, and Taehyung gently pushed him. Don't, it make it worse, he told him, and Jungkook looked at him and then back at Tae, his mouth slightly ajar, and his eyes were winded. Taehyung gasped at the lump of thought and moved back when that rushing inside the room and pulled his body up, then took him away out of the room. Jungkook looked like had been struck out of him. He bit his lips and looked at Taehyung as if waiting for him to explain. Go with him, please, Taehyung advised Jungkook. Taehyung, while asking and crying, he looked at her and took her in his arm. He didn't understand what had happened. What happened? She stepped and looked up at him. Is he going to live? She asked Taehyung, but for a moment and then swallowed. It's God will, he said. I don't understand what happened. He came in my room unannounced and then started crying. He was trying to tell me something. Wait, that file? He pulled away from Inhe and looked around until he spotted the folder on the floor. He picked it up and started going through the page in a hurry. He found when he find anything out of that ordinary, and again in frustration when he saw the picture. Just like they rumbled around in other pages and turned them over and over until he was sure that he was seeing with the truth. Betrayal stuck in his both. Oh God, what had happened here? Yamin cried, seeing the blood on the carpet. Taehyung, what is this? Mr. Kim jolt in. It was cold weather, but sweat was started on his forehead and his eyes turned red in rage as he clenched his jaw. His body practically shook with anger at his voice, and he walked toward her slowly. Is that truth? He lifted the photo in front of her, that it was directly in her sight. Taehyung, whose blood is that? Mr. Kim yelled in panic. Taehyung turned toward him. Don't say a single word. He crawled at him and then felt that soft touch of his wife on his arm. Taehyung closed his eyes and glared his hand. Slowly Inhe pulled it back, scared to say anything. Mr. Kim flinched and looked at him in shock. Watch how you talk to me, he said strictly, using the tone that scared the shit out of him. And his brother, not anymore. I'm talking to you, woman. Is it true? Taehyung turned back to the person who was supposed to be his mother. Yamin's face lost all the color. I just stared at him in horror. She took a step back. She had the gut to shake his head. No, it's... Taehyung threw the album on the floor and shook his head at her. He let out a dry chuckle, feeling his thought. He walked toward the closet and opened the door harshly before pulling out all his shirt, hanging in there along with in his clothes. Taehyung, what are you doing? Inha asked in panic, looking at him like he had gone crazy. Yamin, on the other hand, walking toward him. Taehyung, we can talk. She placed a hand on his arm. Don't you dare to touch me, he yelled in her face, feeling the tears burr in his eyes. He pulled out a suitcase and threw all the clothes there along with a pair of shoes. Get out of my sight, he told her, pointing at the door. I'm not your son. He shouted at his father and zipped up the suitcase. He grabbed in a hand and walked toward the door. He glared at his mother, who looked at him. As he walked out of the door, she would die. If something happened to my brother, I will make sure to pay back for what you did to us, he said firmly, and then walked out of the room. Inha walked silently by the side, understanding that he needed time, even though she wanted to know what was going on. Once they was out of the mansion, Taehyung opened the door of the car and threw the suitcase in. He threw the door for Inhe, and she sat inside without any compliment. Taehyung got beside the wheel and started the engine and then dropped the car. Inhe was staring at her lap for more than 10 minutes. Now when she heard a smile, she looked at and saw that were tears running down his cheeks. She was shocked to see him cry and place a hand on his arm. Taehyung stopped the car at the side of the road and let out a yell, banging his fist against the wheel. Inhe leaned over and cupped his head in his hand. She didn't care how much a mess his face. She pulled her toward her. He wrapped his arm around her and cried in her shoulder, wanting to fade away due to the pain that he felt. Inhe kissed the side of the temple and ran her finger through his hair, trying her best to smooth him. Let me drive, she mumbled and pulled back to make the space. Taehyung didn't see anything, seeing none, and the both of them got out of the car and switched their seats. She grabbed his hand once again. She was behind while and squeezing gently, telling him silently that whatever was wrong was going to be okay. Taehyung just stared out of the window, numbly, as they started praying for Tae to be okay. Taehyung's cheeks pressed firmly against the fluffy pillow, his eyes fixed on the sofa in front of him. The back of his head was throbbing like heartbeat. He could feel his pulses. They didn't faint due to the shock. Yes, he had faint, weak, and dizzy. His steps, but they black out due to his head hitting against the glass. Otherwise, he would have come back to the sense sooner, as he felt embarrassed that everyone would be back out because he couldn't take some horror news. They went and eyebrows together in pain, but didn't call for any help. No one knew that he was awake, no one being Jungkook and his family. Yesterday, after he regained his consciousness, the stitches on his head had been done. Jungkook had driven to the parents, thinking maybe he needs some company, but all they wanted was to be left alone. Of course, he didn't put his thought into his voice because he didn't want to seem like a. In the past 24 hours, he had enough attention.